Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Will Charlton. Welcome to another edition of Noteworthy in the NCAA, a weekly podcast talking about the happenings in the college sports landscape. And we got a bunch of things to kind of go over today. We're going to talk about mostly college football, but also there's a big conversation in college basketball going on right now that I feel very strongly about. And I'm going to give my honest and what really should be the consensus opinion on it. So we'll get to that later on in the show to end things off. But obviously, on Sundays, the brand new AP poll comes out, and I'd like to talk about that to start things out here. So I'll share my screen here and I'll show you guys what we're working with for this week. So as you can see, we're going to make that a little bit bigger for you guys. So there you go. The AP poll this week is not a whole lot of movement at the top, but I think the most noteworthy thing to take away from this is you see two logos. You don't see two logos on there as you normally see, and that's Texas and Penn State. Texas and Penn State both drop out of the AP poll after losses to unranked opponents. Texas lost to Florida. Penn State lost to who I think might be the worst team in all of Power 4, UCLA. And that was kind of a consensus opinion. Shocking loss for Penn State. Texas, if you watch Forever Power 5 this past week, I did think Florida was going to cover the spread and possibly win. So the Gators end up getting the upset at home against Texas. Those are the two logos that are crazy to see on there because number one preseason was Texas. Number two preseason was Penn State. They are no longer ranked. And if you look at a handful of what the top 10 used to look like, Clemson is no longer ranked. They were a top 5 team to start the year. I believe they were 4. Ohio State was 3. They're not number 1. Miami's on a roll right now, man. Miami is on fire. They just beat Florida State. The score was not indicative of how close that game actually was, but Mario Cristobal loves to make things a little interesting at the end of the game. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see down the stretch how Miami's able to kind of tread this water. I mean, they're off to a great start. They're undefeated now, still. And Miami is the clear-cut favorite right now to win the ACC, I'd say. Georgia Tech, who keeps on moving up, they keep on winning games. They're at 13 now. Back trying to make their way toward the top 5, the Alabama Crimson Tide, back at number 8 now. I guess not back at, they're up to number 8 now. Moved up a spot after beating Vanderbilt. Or with it from 11. Yeah, so they're back in the top 10. Alabama is this week. Ole Miss and Texas A&M cracked the top 5 this week after a lot of movement up there because of a handful of crazy losses that just happened. That happened this week, and it's just I'm gonna go back to last week's poll here just to kind of show you guys how crazy the movement actually was. So I'm gonna stop sharing this for now, and we're gonna go down to the poll from a couple weeks ago. So that would have been the week 5. Or no, this would have been the week 6 AP poll. So let's see if we can pull this up just to show you guys some reference here. Yeah, so this is the reference here for the AP poll from last week. So as you can see, Ole Miss did stay at 4. A&M goes up from 5 to 6. They swap spots with Oklahoma. Penn State was 7, so they're now out. And Texas was 9, they're now out. Florida State was 18, they go down to 25. Illinois makes a jump up from 22 to 17. Vanderbilt moves up a spot up to 15. LSU's a bit too overranked too. They move up a couple spots after not even playing a game this week. I don't see why LSU is still so highly ranked after, they just haven't really lived up to the billing of what they were supposed to be, because all of a sudden that win at Clemson week 1 doesn't really look that incredible. Big mover as well, Virginia 24 to 19. Missouri moves up a handful of spots as well. And Indiana's now up to 7, so you're going to have a fun matchup between number 3 Oregon and number 7 Indiana this coming weekend. It's probably the game of the week, I'd say, in college football. That's going to be a very fun one in Eugene. College game day is going there. number 17 Ohio State will be playing number 17 Illinois will be playing number 1 Ohio State in the battle for the Illibuk Trophy. That's going to be a fun one. So we can go back to the new AP poll here and just kind of reference that now. So yeah, I mean, also cracking in Memphis, the first bowl eligible team this year. They are 6-0. They are ranked 23, and they have been very, very solid so far. Iowa State, after losing to Cincinnati, they stay ranked, which is kind of surprising to me. But also, I will say Notre Dame at 16. I mean, I know that they're 3-2 now, so they bounced back from that 0-2 start. But I don't know if they need to be that high. I think just the name Notre Dame is what's putting them there. So yeah, Texas Tech now number 9. They move into the top 10 for the first time this year, and Florida State stays in at 25. So that is the AP poll for this week. A handful of things I find a little perplexing. I do think Texas Tech should be higher than 9. I think they've proven that they should be higher. They're the favorite to win the Big 12 now at this point. I picked them preseason to win the Big 12, so I'm feeling pretty good about that pick. And other than that, yeah, I mean, this poll looks pretty good. I like the fact that Virginia is a top 20 team. I think they deserve it. Sorry, I talked about Vanderbilt moving up. No, they dropped down to 20. Michigan is now 15. So, yep, that's the AP poll for this week. And now we're going to really kind of hammer home that Texas and Penn State deal. So UCLA fires their head coach after an abysmal start. They fired Deshaun Foster after their 0-3 start. And Deshaun Foster was an alumni. He played there. It was never really the right hire, it seemed like, because last year they went to a bowl game. I want to look up their exact record last year just to reference this. So UCLA, sorry, they did not go to a bowl game last year. They were 5-7 last year. So, it's not like it's not like they were great last year. They were at least competitive, right? But then you start 0-3 and you get trounced by New Mexico at home, and that leads to the firing of Deshaun Foster. So their offensive coordinator, I forget his name, Nieheisel is his last name. It was his first time ever calling plays as an offensive coordinator. First time ever calling plays as an offensive coordinator. He even said in his post-game press conference, yeah, I didn't know the headset worked sometimes. James Franklin, what is going on with your team? I mean, you had the exact blueprint to run the table this year in the Big Ten. You lose a heartbreaker at home to Oregon last week in a fantastic game. And then you go on the road and lose to what might be the worst team in Power 4? Penn State is in some serious trouble because their next 3 games, Iowa on the road, Ohio State on the road, Indiana at home. After Northwestern. They play Northwestern, and then those are their next 3 games after that. Penn State might be looking at a 4-5 record, potentially, after that Indiana game. You're wondering if they're going to make a bowl game at that point. Because you're sure as hell not going to beat Ohio State on the road. I think I like Indiana in that game as of right now. Even though it's in Penn State, they can't win the big game at home. Indiana's a very good team this year. So Penn State in big trouble. Drew Aller. I thought that Penn State defense was one of the best in the country. Proves out really isn't. So very disappointing loss for Penn State. I can only imagine how disappointed the fans were watching that game unravel because UCLA is terrible. I mean, I'm not going to put it lightly. UCLA is bad. Like, they're really bad. Nico Iamaleava, it's hard to pronounce that. He has been just not a good fit there at all. I kind of saw that coming, honestly. I didn't think with that all the offseason drama would work out that well. But what a terrible thing UCLA has had going so far. And then to lose that game for Penn State, just mind-boggling. And then Texas, what's going on there? I mean, Arch Manning was supposed to be this incredible quarterback this year. Oh, the Heisman front runner. He's going to easily win it this year. Texas is going to go undefeated and win the national championship. Now you're sitting at 3-2 as well. And you have lost 2 road games to the 2 power conference opponents you played. So Texas is in a lot of trouble too. They're both unranked now. I think that this Texas team, even though they have a very good defense, what Florida did to them was kind of surprising. Arch Manning threw 2 interceptions in the game, just never looked comfortable. It never looked comfortable. It was kind of similar to Ohio State. Like, granted, it was a much closer game, but Arch Manning looked so uncomfortable in that game. And I think that Texas is they're not in a world of trouble, but man, I mean, if you can't beat Florida, who has shown so many struggles out the bat to start this season, I don't know how you're going to do an SEC play. I mean, you got your next game is against Oklahoma, and granted, they won't have John Mateer for the game, but still, Oklahoma's a darn good football team. So I don't know if you're Texas and Penn State, you got a lot to be worried about right now. And looking at both these teams, I don't know if either team eclipsed 7 wins this year. I really don't. Because the SEC is a gauntlet, and Penn State has some really, really tough games coming for them. So maybe if they beat a power conference opponent at some point soon, they might. It's mind-boggling to me that people actually left them ranked, both teams, in their polls this year or this week, because I don't know how you can look at those 2 teams for not. Each of the 3 wins are against nobodies. They're against non-power conference opponents and 1 FCS school each. I don't know how you can leave those teams ranked. They haven't proven they can hang as a ranked team. They haven't. So, anywho, now to the big college basketball conversation that I wanted to have. So there has been rumors that March Madness is going to expand, and it's really, really disappointing to me that they're actually considering making the field 76 teams. It's 68 right now. You're adding 8 more schools. 8? Why? What are we doing? I mean, did people see the bubble last year? The bubble was abysmal. It was terrible. The bubble was actually so bad last year, and that should have been the case to be like, no, 68, we're cutting it off there. The first 4 games are fine. The final 12 seeds or 11 seeds, I guess, barely made the field. Let's leave it at that. But no, people are talking about the NCAA. The NCAA is really actually thinking about doing this. I mean, it's just I can't wrap my mind around it. I don't understand how. I'm gonna look up this bubble once again real fast. John Rothstein posted what the teams would have been last year if 76 teams were expanded. So I'm gonna try to find this real fast so I can show you guys. And he makes a great point because he's one of the biggest advocates against expanding the field. And I'm so with him. And I think the consensus that everyone is having is that they don't want the field to expand. Like, they don't want the field to expand. No one does. It's just like, okay, let's see. Yeah, so here's the tweet. So here it is. If NCAA tournament was 76 teams in 2025, these would be the final 8 teams. Ohio State, barely over 500, barely made the Big Ten tournament. Boise State, out of the Mountain West, they were solid, weren't great though. SMU, middle of the pack team in the ACC. Cincinnati, middle of the pack team in the Big 12. Same with Virginia. Northwestern, barely made the Big Ten tournament. I think they were the last team to make the Big Ten tournament. Indiana, right there with them. And Villanova was a middle of the pack toward the bottom of the Big East last year. And look at this first 4 out right here. Santa Clara from the West Coast Conference, okay? Santa Clara from the West Coast Conference. Nebraska, who missed the Big Ten tournament. Pittsburgh, who was toward the bottom of the ACC, and then UC Irvine, who actually had a pretty good year last year. They actually might have deserved to be an at-large team. They would have deserved to be an at-large team over any of those up there for sure. So I look at that bubble, and people actually look at that. The people who make the tournament look at that and be like, "Yeah, let's expand the field." Absolutely not. No. How do you look at that field, those final 8 teams right there, and be like, "Yeah, let's expand the field"? The bubble was terrible last year. It was awful. I mean, the bubble was so bad last year. And you look at this and want to expand the tournament? I mean, what are we doing here? I don't know. The fact that they're actually thinking about expanding the tournament just really irks me. It is so good the way it is right now. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. 70 We don't need 76 teams in the NCAA tournament. None of those teams that I showed you would win a game. They wouldn't. They wouldn't win a game in the first round if they were to advance. They would not. So, anyways, that's my tangent on it. I firmly disagree with it. I think 68 is a perfect number to be at. The first 4 games are always great. I guess besides the few instances this year, I think there was a bad one in the 12 seed game. I can't remember what it was, but anyways, yeah. So that's my tangent on it. I think that expanding the tournament is a ridiculous idea. Um, and Callan, I see your comment there. Yeah, no, I agree about Santa Clara. No, they're a very solid team of the West Coast Conference. They would have been able to be in the. I think them and UC Irvine would have been much more deserving than any of those teams that I saw you or that I showed you that actually would have made the field. So, yeah, I watch a good amount of West Coast Conference basketball too. So, um, anyways, yeah, that's my tangent on it. So that'll wrap up this episode of Noteworthy in the NCAA for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Will Charlton.